I want to ask you, though, about Alibaba, which is the exchange that we played. You essentially said that at any moment in time, a member of the People's Republic Party can call up Jack Ma and say, you know what, give me some information. But there could be insider trading for which the U.S. government, the agencies, do not have any recourse. They don't have any authority.
Right. Look, I'm a shareholder in Alibaba.
You're a shareholder still.
Right. That shows you how much.
I mean, aren't you being hypocritical?
No, because it really, I don't see it mattering. Once they, the market's at this point, and I don't expect the SEC to do a whole lot of any consequence when it comes to insider trading in the first place. So my point was that the largest IPO in the history of the stock market is a Chinese company, and it's a communist country. So by definition, if someone calls up someone at Alibaba and says, okay, I'm this bigwig, and oh, by the way, you can tell me what's going on in Alibaba, or let me tell you about the new gulag we just built, in southern China. There's no choice. Where they can say, no, I'm violating insider trading laws in the United States. They're not going to.
But should the SEC have turned Alibaba away?
Yes.
They should have. Alibaba should not have been allowed to list in the U.S.
No, you can't have it. Look, if you're host and based, at least the Chinese operations, right? Look, this is just my opinion, but if you're host and based in a communist country where the only rule of law is what the Communist Party says it is, how can you enforce any type of law at all?
So basically you're saying that the U.S. should close its borders, the capital market should close its borders when it comes to so many of these other companies that want to come here to list.
Look, if Alibaba has some special exception, I forget what it's called, for them to go public. But the reality is yes, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say I've done all kinds of research. This is just a topic that just came up in the session, right? But at the same time, just on its face, on a common sense basis, how can you enforce any type of insider trading laws in a communist country? Now, put that in this bucket. Or you can ask the question, are our insider trading laws completely back-ass half-words, and that's the problem? And there's not a problem with having a company in a communist country come in, but you just have to realize that our insider trading laws are going to be ineffective and apply them the same way to United States companies.
Right. So even though you're alleging that the SEC should have done X, Y, and Z, you're still investing it. I mean, you're investing as if the SEC doesn't exist. Is that fair?
Yes, with the caveat.
Okay.
With the caveat is I take 3 or 4% of my portfolio and invest it in hedges. My perspective is that all these things that have negatively impacted the market in a dramatic sense aren't one-offs. They're going to happen again. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And so I want to be protected when they happen, and I want to be able to invest when they happen. So I made a big investment October 15th, when in 2008, when everything was going to hell. I dove in and made my biggest investments when, I did invest a lot in currencies. When the yen hit 85, I took all my debt and converted over. Right. So I'm a big believer in Warren Buffett's approach. When the S hits the fan, that's when you dive in. But I also know that there's no chance that the SEC is going to stop the next thing from happening.
If you were so against Alibaba going public here, why didn't you just make a statement with your feet and walk? Why did you invest in the company? And if people, people watch that and say, well, wait a minute, Cuban's a hypocrite. He's saying they shouldn't have been able to list here, but yet he bought the stock.
Absolutely, I'm a hypocrite because I think the SEC. Absolutely, I'm a hypocrite because I think the SEC doesn't matter. Right? I think they do their best, but they are so back-ass half-words in their approach to enforcement that they're not going to stop the next thing, and I don't even give them much in the way of consideration. And so my preference is, look, they shouldn't be allowed based off of what I know today, but if they're in, it's just one more stock to trade or invest in, depending on your perspective.